Report for a few moments. WBZ security analyst and former Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis joins us now. Ed, thanks so much for taking some time on this extraordinary day where we are seeing scenes at the United States Capitol that have never been seen in our nation's history. As a security expert, when you look at this crowd, which clearly is out of control and has breached security by entering the building without going through security, but largely appears peaceful per se and quiet. What's your reaction as a security expert about what should be happening right now?
Well, Paula, this is breathtaking in its scope. It's our worst fear realized. We've been watching a continual drumbeat over the last few months to activate people like this, and tragically, it's worked. The only saving grace is that it has not been violent at this point in time, other than some skirmishes as they made entry. But the fact that they have taken control of the Capitol building, especially on a day that the selection of the president is being voted on, is paramount to insurrection. And I'm speechless on exactly what we can do here.
It is true. At this point, Nora O'Donnell and Ed O'Neill on CBS News were pointing out that right now, the leadership, those in the line of succession after the vice president, their whereabouts are largely unknown at this point because members of Congress, the leadership have been told to shelter in place, to hide under their desks if necessarily, wherever they are in the chamber or in their offices. From the Secret Service perspective, are you aware of their protocol? The mayor of D.C. has now called for a 6 p.m. curfew in the district. You are not allowed to carry a gun in the district. Do you know if the Secret Service, working with Capitol Police, has the manpower at this point for a crowd of this scale and scope?
Well, the simple answer is it's doubtful. The fact that the Capitol Police have been overrun at this point in time is an indication that they don't have the staffing. Now, the Secret Service will play a role in the protection of the president and the White House personnel. But the Capitol Police are very much in charge of this situation at Capitol Hill. Yeah. And the fact that they've lost the perimeter would indicate to me that...
Why would that be? I mean, the president's been talking about this date and everyone in news for weeks. I know that the mayor of D.C. had been talking about discouraging people from coming and beefing up security. How can you imagine Capitol Police were not more prepared for this?
The only thing I can say, Paula, is that the use of force right now by police is being viewed extremely dimly by everyone in the media and in the country.
Wow.
And
so do you think this was a bit of a political statement to have not so large of a police presence?
I don't know that it was a political statement. I think caution is the watchword right now. The problem is, these numbers are very difficult to deal with. If you have 2,000 Capitol Police and 20,000 people attacking the Capitol, it becomes a logistics issue.
Sure, sure. And you can imagine that leadership within the district would want to try to keep the temperature down when they knew this many people were coming in. John Keller is also joining us. He's in Washington, D.C. He's been reporting for us since yesterday. And John, I know that you have been in the district. You've been talking with people. I mean, just as a political analyst, what is your first reaction looking at these images?
Well, it shouldn't be surprising, right? We knew that these rallies were being organized. We've seen in polling and in just a Monday night, the president held a rally in Georgia with what looked like tens of thousands of people cheering at every mention of how we've got to fight and they're trying to take our country away. The intensity of the falsehoods about the election and whether or not it was stolen, and the animosity that has generated was not a surprise to us. I want to echo your question to Ed Davis. Where were the cops? I mean, the idea that, well, this is a situation, you want to keep a low profile, you don't want to incite things. Excuse me, these people breached the Capitol building. Senators and representatives are hiding under their desks and being told to stay quiet. If we get out of this without somebody being hurt or killed, it'll be a minor miracle. There's going to be a lot more said about the preparation for this, Paula.
Absolutely, and we certainly hope that that is the case, that these people standing here that we're watching on the Capitol steps remain peaceful, even though some have breached the building. I do want to read this tweet from the president 14 minutes ago. Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. This is a very noticeable change in tone suddenly from the president, who must even he himself be taken aback by the images we're seeing.
Yeah, that's a piece of you-know-what covering. The rhetoric has been insightful. He's always careful. President Trump is always careful. He used the word peaceful 3 times in his rally speech earlier today, which I watched. And now this tweet here. So he's always covers himself. But look, in online chat rooms and in dialogue that really alarmed the law enforcement authorities down here, some of these protesters have taken to referring to the D.C. police as Cop-Tifa. That's a merging of cop and Antifa, the boogeyman anti-fascist group that's been involved in some skirmishes here. Cop-Tifa. And they've been urging their supporters to fight back against Cop-Tifa. So this is what you get. This should come as a surprise to no one. It's scripted. It was manipulated by the president and his allies, and here it is. So, it's America, sure, but that doesn't mean we can't descend into the level of a third world country at times.
These images being seen around the world must be just remarkable to people. Ed Davis, let me bring you back in and just ask you, obviously this is federal land, being the U.S. Capitol. Should U.S. troops be called in? I mean, with this 6 p.m. curfew, now the challenge will be making sure that these people inside the Capitol Rotunda and inside the chamber, apparently, are removed peacefully, and that these crowds are removed peacefully from the outside. What's the approach of police who begin to approach dispersing a crowd like this?
Right, and I understand John's frustration here, and I share it, and I did see this coming, and a lot of us saw this coming. We were monitoring some of these groups during the election when we did our work in Pennsylvania. This has been boiling for a while, and now it's happened. What needs to happen is exactly what you said, Paula. The National Guard needs to be activated, but you have to understand that that does not happen without the political structure ordering it. And that's the delay right now. I guarantee it. Nobody wants to see a headline or a video of National Guard troops descending on the Capitol and pushing these people out. These people can be removed quickly and effectively, but right now, I don't think there's a political will to do it.
So without the political will, that is a huge problem. But this lack of security, this lack of planning, I mean, it is shocking when you think about the fact that, as we mentioned before, this day has been in discussion, John, for months, certainly by the president since Election Day, and in the last few weeks, as this entire episode came to a head and escalated. Are you just shocked from a political perspective what a failure this is?
Paula, over the years, on many occasions, I've come down to the Capitol on reporting assignments. And you've been down here, the rules of the Capitol Police are so strict. If you step off the sidewalk at the wrong place in the proximity of the Capitol, there is a Capitol Police officer on you, yelling at you to get the HE double hockey sticks back on the other side of that line. Think of the political conventions. You covered the last one.
Yep.
Right? You saw what security was like there.
Sure, sure.
Again, an event that you know is occurring, is going to draw huge crowds, that it is going to contain an element who are entirely likely to not respect the boundaries set by law enforcement. The idea, I mean, that video from earlier today of a thin line of frantic-looking Capitol Police spraying tear gas at this onrushing mob. I'd like to hear Ed Davis weigh in on how the hell that can happen.
It's extremely troubling, John and Paula. I'm disgusted with what I'm seeing here. I just saw a picture of a protester sitting in the chair of the Speaker of the House. It is incomprehensible to me why this was allowed to happen, and second, why it's not being put down right now. There needs to be decisive action here, and no one seems to have the wherewithal to clear what is our most sacred political structure in the United States. This needs to be stopped. This is similar to what happened in Michigan.
Right, when they entered the Capitol building there.
That's right. You're seeing the same thing happen here, and they were allowed to stay there for a period of time until they got bored and walked away. This is unacceptable. We do look like a third world nation.
It is sickening, I have to say, just for myself. It's a sickening sight. So Ed Davis, John Keller, thank you so much.